We've had a very serious bilateral meeting with the foreign minister. The reality is Korea is a country that is still on the rise. It's a very important country internationally. It's got enormous trade links, and it's a very important country, not just in Asia, but around the world. And you'll see projects that they're doing, which means that they're important in defence procurement, defence expenditure. And there's probably 10 or 15 priority reasons why being a friend of Korea is very important to New Zealand. We've got a great history with them.
You mentioned in your release the talk about North Asia and the importance of North Asia. Obviously, there's a lot going on in that region, a lot of geopolitical uncertainty. In relation to New Zealand, are you suggesting, or are you saying that we could have greater defence links with Korea, that they could help, say, with our defence commitments and spending?
Well, the reality is that in 2016 we made a serious investment in the defence expenditure with South Korea, and we see going forward the possibility of that. That's not the reason why we've met today, but in terms of their capacity to build ships, well, they're the world #1 shipbuilder. Now, they've also got a serious defence capability as well. When we talk about our meeting, those weren't our considerations, but keeping abreast of a country of that size doing so well is important to us.
What were some of the other issues discussed? Was the issue of New Zealand's concern about the Chinese naval ships discussed in this meeting?
Look, you would understand that when you're having confidential discussions with countries that the content and the value of the discussion is not enhanced by a breach of privacy. But we talked about our mutual interests, and it was a very valuable meeting between his team and my team.
Do you see South Korea as becoming an increasingly important partner? There's this move to a comprehensive strategic partnership. What will that mean if that happens in terms of the relationship and how deep that will be?
Well, the details of that are being worked out as we speak, but hopefully by APEC, which is being held in Korea in October of this year, we'll have them all thrashed out. And we had a confirmation this evening that that would be happening.
Yes, I was going to ask if that was still on track, given the political problems in South Korea at the moment with their president. Was there any indication that that might derail the move to the comprehensive strategic partnership? Obviously not.
Well, no one can answer for the political machinations that happen in any democracy, but in the end, great connections are not between governments, they're between people. And the Korean people have enormous respect for New Zealand. It goes all the way back to 1950 when we stepped up when they were in a crisis. It goes back to 1997 when the Asian financial crisis, when we stepped up again. Those people in Korea remember that. So it's more about people-to-people relationships than mere politicians, so to speak.
North Korea, well, I know last year we upped our contributions with sanction monitoring and also peacekeeping troops. Is there anything further New Zealand is looking to do in terms of helping with the issue of containing North Korea, and in particular its nuclear program?
Well, we expanded our further prohibitions against North Korea recently, but in the end, when we talk about from New Zealand's point of view, we can only do so much, and that is to share with others the impropriety of their engagement in the war against Ukraine by Russia. This is totally wrong.
I'll move on to you mentioned that obviously that South Korea is a great shipbuilding nation. You met with Hyundai. What was the nature of that meeting? Was that to discuss the breach of contract and the payout that might be required, or is in fact there the opportunity of resurrecting some shipbuilding opportunity here?
Well, you mentioned the breach of contract. That's yesterday's story. We came today with fresh eyes, knowing that we're going on a worldwide search for replacements at the price level and at the speed we want them. And given the enormous record of Hyundai as being successful shipbuilders, we thought, if we're in Korea, why don't we talk to them? And that was the nature of tonight's meeting.
Can they build ships that the size that you're after, the slightly smaller ones? I think that was one of the issues, wasn't it, that they couldn't build them that size? Did they give you any indication as to whether they could build rail-enabled ferries that were of the right specifics?
Yes.
So they're back in the mix here.
Well, we know we've got a worldwide tender, but we're prepared to talk to everyone. And if you're in Korea and you didn't talk to them, the biggest shipbuilders in the world, then perhaps you don't know what you're doing. And we do know what we're doing.
And they were open to that, not having obviously been, you could argue, having been burned the first time around, they were receptive to potentially bidding as a part of your process.
They know the vagaries of politics and people as much as anybody else. We're coming with fresh eyes here, and we had a marvellous conversation. We'll see how things develop in the future.
So the issue of the contract breach is, if you were to build new ships, would that be voided?
No, we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
But I mean, does that still lie?
If you walk into the room with good faith, with understanding of a long-standing relationship between two countries, where it's not just business, but it's the politics of the country and the freedom of a country that's been dependent upon our relationship, then maybe, just maybe, we can fix this up faster than people think.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to get my head around whether or not that, as you say, it's old news, the contract issue. Does that still have to play out regardless of whether we could ask them to try and build two new ships?
That's the Q-Rail previous government decision. That's got to play out separately.
Okay. But you were obviously optimistic that they, because they are one of the bigger shipbuilders, that they could build two rail-enabled ferries. That's the key part for you?
No, I didn't say all those things. I just said we're here to talk to you because we're on a worldwide search. We're going to have a decision by the end of March, which is only tomorrow, is 1st of March. As you and I are speaking, we've got limited time, but we do intend to be precisely ready by the end of March to make a critical decision as to how we're going to find two replacement ferries within the spend that we can afford by 2029.
And so it's possible, but by the end of March they may come back to you with and give an answer as to whether they can do that?
Well, usually in a Q&A like this, I wouldn't answer the question, but I've got a serious contender back in the ring of potential contenders for the tender for two replacement ferries for the Cook Strait.
And are you confident that you'll get there on March? Have you got other bidders in the mix as well?
Look, it's in the good book. If any man that sets his hand to the plough looks backwards is not fit for the kingdom of heaven. I'm not talking about heaven here, it's about politics. But we're positive that this is a great start to either this or other companies getting into the tender process and being able to make a decision by the end of March. Yes, I am very confident.